Good evening, treasure seekers. This is Blake coming to you live from New Mexico, and joining me as always from Washington State, it's Bryn and Cody. How's it going, guys?
Happy 1 year anniversary to the podcast.
Yay.
Woohoo! We got these at the dollar store and they don't make noise. We thought they were noise makers. They are not.
When you blew on them, I thought Zoom was just like balancing out the noise with like the noise reduction thing, but no, they're just mute. I guess that's how they ended up at the dollar store.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a big episode. I mean, exactly a year. We launched our first episode December 8th, 2024, and here we are December 8th, 2025. Perfect.
Amazing. Perfect. Yeah. It all worked out. That's gotta be 52 episodes plus. At the beginning, we were doing 2 a week. So 2 a week for 26 chapters. So another 13 episodes-ish. So probably close to 70 some odd episodes at this point.
I don't know if any are short of an hour.
That's awesome. Thank you for checking the dates. I didn't do any of the historical work here. So, and thanks for your wonderful decorations.
I could have just put up a picture. I could have just changed my background as a digital picture. However, in the spirit of There's Treasure Inside, Jon Collins-Black has presented us with a analog hunt in a digital world. And so this felt much more on brand, and the act of physically creating the background with my hands just felt like that is what I should be doing for this occasion.
Could have been working on Pokemon Box.
I could have been working on Pokemon Box. Well, also speaking of our first episode, I went back and I listened just very, very briefly. But most importantly, I think we need to pull up a picture of the first episode because
oh no. No, I know what it's gonna be.
When we first got started, we didn't have equipment. I think Blake was the only one with a microphone, and Cody had these huge headphones. If you are just listening
2035.
If you're listening, I highly recommend later on coming back and taking a look at Cody's headphones on YouTube.
I played games online with my friends like 3 times, and so I just bought the cheapest headphones on Amazon because I needed something. And then you guys sprung the idea of the podcast on me, and I thought, this is all I got. I'm going with it.
As you can see, I'm also wearing my 1-year anniversary hoodie too.
Oh, I should have worn my same sweatshirt. I wear that one a lot for the podcast.
Black shirt underneath too. The whole get up there.
The whole ensemble. My whole fit. My fit check.
Nice. Very nice.
I especially love the little glowing tip on the end of the microphone on that headset.
Yeah.
The little red light. We've come a long way.
We made a few equipment upgrades. We've certainly, I think, improved our shows, and I don't know. Our discourse is just, I think the show's come a long way in a year. You should be proud.
It's good.
Imagine how good we're going to be by the time he releases the hint at year 8.
I know.
We're going to be experts.
Speaking of people, content, the last year of content, it's been Spotify Wrapped time, and people have been doing their Spotify Wrapped and getting their podcast results. And so people have been sending us some results of where they rank in our Spotify and their Spotify Wrapped for our podcast. We got one person email in about a top 4% listener. Wow. And I will say this is a listener that I believe has listened to every episode in its entirety. So that means that only gets you top 4%. So a lot of people are listening to the content more than once all the way through. So that's pretty good. And then someone also sent us, I guess YouTube does a Wrapped as well, and they were the top 0.1%.
Wow.
So that's like all-star status right there.
That's dedication. Imagine listening to me that long. Ooh.
So thank you to everyone who has listened and supported us over the last year.
Yeah, I would say it's a really amazing audience. Obviously, all the mailbags are very complimentary and things like that. So enjoy getting the compliments. That's not what it's about, though. We're trying to get you guys good conversation, and for people that maybe don't have people they can talk to about the hunt regularly, this is kind of the sounding board to at least have some interaction to bounce ideas off of. So that's I think our main goal. So thanks everybody again for tuning in.
On that note, I think we should just touch briefly on where we're at in the advent calendar.
Yeah.
You guys up for it? Okay. So I know a couple weeks ago we mentioned that our group, we do an exit escape room advent calendar every year for the past few years. And so this year we're all doing the, intergalactic adventure
race,
something like that.
The intergalactic race.
So we're a few days into it now, and I want to hear, Cody and I have been doing it together, so I want to hear your thoughts, Blake, on how it's been going.
There's a ranking on the front of the advent calendar that says it's a beginner, but I feel like this year has been harder than the other ones in the past. Do you guys agree with that?
I think so.
100%.
Okay. And so, yeah.
But I'm also questioning slightly. I feel like I'm really good at not getting confirmation bias over the course of like this last year. And most of that is because I'm naturally just like skeptical of everything, including my own thoughts and opinions. So I feel like that really helps me not fall into the confirmation bias trap. But the fact that I'm having so much more trouble with this advent calendar this year than past years kind of makes me wonder if I've like slowly developed these like trenches of like, this is how I evaluate these kind of problems. And I don't like think of other possible solutions. I'm wondering if I have like some weird pseudo confirmation bias, where I just have like ways of approaching things now that I'm like, don't have the same breadth as I did in past years. So I'm questioning that.
Yeah, I think, go ahead, Bryn.
I was going to say, I need to start out with a little story of our day one situation.
Okay. This is the coaster and phone number and finding the correct ship puzzle.
Yeah, so we got up to speed with the story. We put the coaster in the right spot, and we got the letters. So we got the license plate right away. And Cody and I were just looking at this like, well, what do? We have to be able to attach this to a ship to get numbers to decode the decoder table. And we were just going around in circles like, oh my gosh, this is way too hard for day one. We could not find the spaceship. We're looking all over the box. And finally, I don't know, 10 minutes later, 15 minutes later, we flipped the page over. We like totally forgot that there was a back to the page. So we were very rusty getting started. But we thought we were either losing our minds or they had just gone off the rails. So thank goodness we looked on the back of the page as it instructed us to.
Lesson 1, read all of the instructions.
Exactly.
Yep. Then we had a key alignment puzzle where you had to find the key. Then we had a napkin flag. We had a star chart. We had the Merlions puzzle. That was troublesome for all of us. I feel like my advent calendar had a technical flaw that prevented me from solving that one. So I did have to go to the hints for that one. And even when I had the hints, it still took me a couple tries to figure it out, which was an engineering problem. And then we had the nuts to spell numbers and the tarot cards. So those are the ones we've done so far. As mentioned, I've only needed the hint for them. Merlion translation.
I'm pretty salty about that one because on the clue, like it makes it very clear that you're supposed to use the hint book and the storybook.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is what is shown. And we looked at that for so long, trying to pick out, like, was there something different in these pictures? Like we just looked at it for so long to then only find out, no, it's not those books. It's a picture of the books on the back of the box. Oh, I was not happy. And what makes me more upset is that going into this, Cody and I, like, we need to have a mental checklist of things to do when you feel stuck, like reread everything,
Mm-hmm.
examine the box, like go through all these things. And we didn't do that. And it cost us.
Yes, I ran into that problem too with kind of the checklist of things to do where it was, I think, the star chart one. I forgot to actually look in the box that's opened for the advent calendar where there was like a number key. It was like that got me caught off for a while till I finally looked in the cube. So yes, easy to get caught off guard. So we have no chance of solving there's treasure inside. It's too difficult.
So hopefully everyone who is playing along with us has been having fun with it, and can compare notes with us as we go along.
All right. Should we dive into news? Bryn, why don't you kick us off?
All right. So we have a new Jon Collins-Black interview. It came out on a YouTube channel, I believe, called Autism Advocate Parenting Magazine. And this was a woman who has been doing the treasure hunt herself with her children. And so she was interviewing Jon, and I just want to call out a few of the notes that I took here, and then feel free to add in anything, you guys, from watching it as well. So she clarified with Jon that he would consider native land as private property. So good clarification that native land is not in play here. Going back to talking about like the information that he's been providing in these recent interviews and the emails that he's been sending out, we've been talking about like, well, are these clues? Are these not clues? And we get his interpretation of this. He says they're not clues. He says they are additional information. So that kind of goes back to Cody's point of what were you calling them, Cody? Like clues versus
pointers, like pointing you to clues. So I think different terminology, but I think what I was describing is exactly what it is that he's doing. Yeah.
The woman interviewing had asked about bushwhacking. He kind of needed some clarification, but he ultimately said like he doesn't think overgrowth in the area where the boxes are hidden will be an issue, which is kind of interesting.
Kind of focused in on having to use a machete as his definition of bushwhacking, and kind of said you probably don't need a machete. He didn't say that, but that was kind of the message I got from that part of the interview.
Yeah. Seems like maybe expected to kind of like have to walk through some loose, light brush maybe, but you're not going to have to take a machete to it. You will need to be fairly close to the boxes to see them. You're not going to be able to, I guess, walk into like a clearing and it's just kind of sitting out in the middle of a clearing or something like that.
That's a non-answer basically. You have to be fairly close. Okay.
He said he wasn't sure if a metal detector would help you find any of the boxes. And regarding the line,
the interviewer, she said she knew that the steel 1075 that he used for some of the boxes would be detectable with a metal detector, though. That was from the interviewer's perspective.
Thank you. And regarding the lion's share, he said multiple ways to be pointed in the right direction. So those are my little takeaways that I wanted to share. So be sure to check out that interview if you have not seen it yet.
Agreed. Yeah, a few good nuggets in there for sure. All right, we have follow-up from Dr. R Squared based on Cody's 4 ways that he was thinking about using the treasure map for the Appalachian Footpath box. So let's go through that response now. Have you seen it yet, Cody?
No. Did I? I've read a lot. I don't know if I've read that one yet.
Okay. So I'm just going to go straight to the Substack. Reminder, Dr. R Squared has the Substack reflecting on There's Treasure Inside. I'll post the link as I usually do in the show notes if you want to check it out. So Dr. R Squared talks about us talking about the Appalachian Trail box, and we requested him to rank order just like we did in our What's More Likely last week. So just a recap to the 4 methods that you called out, Cody, was the first was folding. And Dr. R Squared describes that as working with the creases and acknowledging the dimensionality, 3D-ness, as suggested by the crumpled paper, lighting, and shadows. Then there was a geometric way to solve it using some forms of measurement, orienteering, incorporating the compass lines, points, distances, etc. The temporal, considering the history of the Appalachian Trail, and the map design as a timeline. This includes considering dates 1938, which you've shown as the turning begin here upside down. You can kind of see that 1938, which has been shown by the community, and the relative transparency / opacity of the more distinct visuals in the map. And then audible, exploring wordplay, musical references, or other things that when spoken or listened to may convey different meaning than just looking / reading, e.g. bear equals bear, like homophones. So do those 4 descriptions kind of accurately represent your thoughts? Okay.
This is awesome.
So
read through this more thoroughly.
Yes. His first reaction ranking from Dr. R Squared is 1, geometric, 2, temporal, 3, audible, and his least favorite was folding. So I think you and I both like the temporal one best, Cody. Is that right?
Yeah, that's the one that I was definitely most drawn to.
And the geometric probably seems most reasonable, in my opinion, at least for one way to solve the Appalachian Trail, or the Appalachian Footpath box map. So Dr. R Squared says, I'm choosing the geometric as more likely because it feels like the most literal / least clever approach. I believe there has to be at least one way that is a literal use of information as presented. I like temporal as second most likely because I think it's an accessible way to use history, whether U.S. history or history of the Appalachian Trail, as an anchor. Audible and temporal might be equal for me, as I think the pictograms lend themselves to rebus-style puzzles. I put folding last because I think it would be hard to replicate with the ebook, so that's a good point. It would be damaging, destructive to the physical book. But even more, I feel like the creases and lines in the background are just part of the weathered map look the author was trying to achieve. And then he had previously used a schema that organizes information or clues for use as being literal, referential, or clever. Literal means that the information is as is, e.g. a bear is supposed to be a bear. Referential means the information refers to something else, e.g. Teddy Roosevelt was known as a teddy bear, I think. Clever means there could be some wordplay or other trickery. Bear could be a substitute for bear. And then he organized those approaches in this nice table here, saying your folding is a clever solution, geometric is a more literal solution, your temporal idea is referential, and audible is also clever. The thing, or one of many, that I'm struggling with is the author of TTI's use of the word distinct in the print interview. So talking about the Mysterious Writings email interview. The word distinct in the print interview when referring to the 3 ways to approach the map. I can think of 27 combinations, so 3 options times 3 options times 3 options in reference to the literal, referential, or clever, using this schema of how the ways might be. And then he gives an example that all the 3 distinct ways are different in terms of one's literal, one's referential, one's clever, or they could all be the same, all be literal clues, 3 different ways to do it, or it could be a mixture. So 27 combinations in total. I think I lean more towards there being only one way per row. That is, if one approach is taking visual information literally, a second way would be more referential. I've probably been looking too literally when creating groupings of visual information. I really like the podcast's ideas since they span a range of approach styles, which I need to do more of. So you helped Dr. R squared, Cody. Hopefully. Unless he was on the right track and now he's way off.
Leading him astray.
This is a new little nugget here. Additionally, there was some discussion about begin here equaling 1938. Potential clue. I am fully on board with this because I continue to believe that the coin angle suspiciously aligns nicely with the longest edge of that triangle. And he's drawn a line here. See if I can zoom in on that. A line here that matches with the begin here triangle, the longest vertex of that. He says that angle is suspiciously close to the coin angle in the book. I had not picked out. When placed there, the line almost bisects the tree circle and then is tangent to the scroll/roll and even touches the weird red fish thing. So, very good. We have a response from Dr. R squared. Much appreciated. And to his credit, he wrote this whole article like within 24 hours of the podcast release. So it's super responsive. Thank you, Dr. R squared, per usual.
That's awesome.
Yes. So
that's really awesome.
Any thoughts or takeaways from Dr. R squared's analysis, Cody?
Yeah, I really like the way that he broke out the literal, referential, and clever options. And I would lean towards there probably being one of each. Because I feel like there almost has to be a literal, if there's more than one way to solve it, which for this one, I think, we believe that there's at least three. I think one of them probably has to be literal in my mind. I'd be surprised if none of them are literal in any way. So, and at the same time, I think it'd be hard to do multiple literal ones without them almost like tripping over each other, and they'd be like, be hard to like make them distinct from each other. So I really like, I like the way he broke that out, and I like the idea of there being maybe like one of each, like he shows on the first chart there. And then I really like his coin line lining up with that triangle, because I actually have plans to talk Appalachian triangles later in this episode. So it actually just plays in perfectly with some other thoughts that I got going on in my head right now.
I also have a Appalachian Trail triangle note today as well.
Really?
Yep.
Ooh.
Coincidence of the day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's very coincidental.
Cool. So again, thanks to Dr. R squared. He puts out several articles a week, all very interesting. Highly recommend subscribing to there's Reflecting on There's Treasure Inside Substack. All right. Go ahead.
I realized we didn't make a crucial announcement at the beginning of the episode.
Okay.
That now that we're 1 year in, we're going to be, where did Cody go?
He's doing something.
We're bringing back chapter notes. So we are going to be in each episode now. We're going to go through the book again. We won't be doing any chapter summary by any means, but we'll go through and talk through with fresh perspective now that it's a year later, notes that we've picked up on in each chapter as we go.
Very good. Yes, crucial note. I don't know if we'll designate that in the show title or not, but we'll get that figured out. But yeah, so the next 23 episodes and probably a few more on chapter introduction and postscript again. All of those will have chapter summaries at the end, or at least pick nuggets out of those chapters. All right.
After doing it for chapter 1, I've come to the conclusion that it's very worthwhile.
Oh, yeah.
After talking about it for a year.
100%.
There's part of me that's a little worried that we're just gonna be like re-saying some of the same things, but I definitely have a lot of like new stuff, new emphases.
All right, one more loose end to tie up in the news section. I neglected to go back and see who had submitted that coin pyramid idea, and that was MyScatty. MyScatty Discord user MyScatty that had submitted that. He had a nice note in the Discord. I just finished watching the latest podcast from There's Treasure Inside Unofficial, whom I totally adore on all counts. And they had a contributor take my idea of combining the coins to make a square-based pyramid and actually do it with CAD software. And it looks like it's pretty darn close to my pencil and paper version. Who knows what it might mean, but it was so fun seeing someone take their time to look more closely and then share. So yeah, MyScatty was the one that sent in that coin pyramid concept, and I neglected to mention that in the last episode. So thank you to MyScatty, and thanks to the real Wade Watts who did the CAD drawings. All right, let's dive into horseshoes and hand grenades. Cody, you're driving horseshoes and hand grenades today?
Yes. Appalachian Trail triangles time.
Nice.
So this is something I think I came across like 6 months ago. Probably more than that, because it was like early enough on in the treasure hunt that there's a lot of like unique and novel things coming up constantly and like a million little threads to pull on. And I came across this and I wrote it down, and then it just like got left behind with all my other ideas. And I thought about it again over the last couple of weeks as I started looking more at the Appalachian Trail box or Appalachian Footpath box. And I revisited it, and it's still under horseshoes and hand grenades, so I'm not sold on it by any means. In fact, I think it's nothing. But I'm definitely more into it than I was the first time.
Huh.
So I'm going to share my screen here. Basically, what I've done probably 10 times at this point is get on Google Maps and just scroll the whole Appalachian Trail and see if anything jumps out at me. So yeah, let me share my screen, and I'll show you something that I came across again many months ago, and also refound it the other day. Let's see if it's to pop up. All right, you see that, right?
Yes, perfect.
Yep. So as I'm scrolling the Appalachian Trail, which is the dotted green line there, I came across this lightly green shaded region within a state park. I think it's a state park. Anyway, a darker green region. And it jumped out to me because it looked to me like one of the triangles on the Appalachian Trail map.
Mm-hmm.
And as I've said before, if it's JCB's intent for something like that to line up, I think it needs to be like pretty close to perfect. Not like, oh, kind of close.
Mm-hmm.
So my next slide here is how it lines up, which I would describe as not perfect, but pretty close to perfect. As far as like getting it off of a map and then onto a book and printed on a book. And especially when he's using kind of like this, like almost more like Microsoft Paint, not super crisp line edges on there.
Yes.
I think it's pretty close.
Within the 3% tolerance specified
within the
by
3% tolerance specified
by the real.
I just want to give Jon Collins-Black credit. So he's probably using Photoshop and not Microsoft Paint in this book. That's
I didn't know how else to describe like the.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. But it's a lot closer than I expected it to be.
That's not the begin here triangle, but the second triangle.
The second triangle, which is like the begin here, but on the other end of the dotted path shown.
Very
so
good.
That's there. Again, something I found a long time ago, disregarded it, revisited it, and in the act of finding it again, I realized how close it is to some other significant landmarks, which almost makes me more interested in it and like interested in, from JCB's perspective, like how he would maybe be more drawn to that area because there are more landmarks around it.
Okay.
So it is about a mile south of the halfway marker that's halfway between the start and the finish of the Appalachian Trail, or halfway through the Appalachian Trail. It's also about 3 miles from the Appalachian Trail Museum. So both of those kind of jumped out to me as like, hey, if he intended for this triangle, and we know he has used Google Maps. I think he talked about using that for the Forest Fen hunt. So we know it's something that he uses. If he did want to like incorporate this Google Maps triangle, or I guess vice versa, if this was an area that's like has a lot going on, it would be like a good area to hide it and have hints that point to specific things. This triangle is kind of right in the mix with those kind of other critical areas on the Appalachian Trail. So, yeah, that's what I liked about that. It's also horseshoes and hand grenades because I looked at some other maps and it's not it's not super cut and dry that like this triangle isn't exactly something.
Okay.
On some of the other maps, like 2 of the 3 lines are the same as on Google Maps, but then it like goes down further into a different shape. And so I'm not even 100% sure like what it is. I just know that it's on Google Maps and it's the same shape. So little horseshoes and hand grenade. Let's see here. One other thing I wanted to talk about that I kind of found at the same time as I was looking at the triangle and then its proximity to these other things is in the book, just to the north, just further up the page towards the top from that triangle that we're referencing is the little X in the 1737. 1737. And a little X that is to the northeast of that triangle. So I found this thing called the Walking Purchase or the Treaty of 1737. Oh, and I should point out that I don't think there's consensus that says 1737. To me, It looks like 1737 northeast, but I think some people were interpreting that as 1727. Anyway, Walking Treaty of 1737 was this treaty in 1737. I'm actually going to read the first paragraph here. The Walking Purchase, also known as the Walking Treaty, was the 1737 agreement between the family of William Penn, the original proprietor of the province of Pennsylvania, and the Lenape Native Indians. In the purchase, the Penn family and proprietors produced a deed to claim that a 1686 treaty with the Lenape called ceded an area of 1.2 million acres in present-day Lehigh Valley in northeastern Pennsylvania and colonial Pennsylvania, which included a western land boundary extending as far west as a man could walk in a day and a half, which led to its name. So it's a walking treaty. It's the Penn family and the Indians agreed that Penn could purchase or get this area of land that the Indians were describing as far as a man could walk in a day and a half, which from my understanding was like a standard unit of measurement for them and equated to about 40 miles. But when they made the agreement, Penn ended up having 3 of the fastest runners he could find sign up and actually time out a day and a half and see how far they can make it. And so they ended up making this like 1.2 million acre area. So very interesting story. I read into it a little bit and it's worth reading. It's definitely a little bit of you got duped.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
But anyway, that running route where they ran is just to the northeast of the triangle line on Google Maps that I was looking at. So I circled there the relative area of where that triangle is.
Okay.
And then to the northeast in 1737, you see the red dash, which is where the runners from the walking treaty, that was their trail that they actually ran, which also makes another triangle. So 2 different triangles, something to the northeast. Again, 1737 northeast of that triangle. Seems like there's some ties there. Again, it's a horseshoes and hand grenades because I don't think it's anything, but there's definitely quite a handful of coincidences there. And just like, again, the fact that it's just like so close to some very interesting areas of the Appalachian Trail as is. So I thought it was all interesting.
That's super fascinating. Very, very good connection. It seems to piece together pretty well, in my opinion. Again, how much do you need outside of the book? I mean, that's a modicum of research, I would say. But I don't know. It seems too coincidental to me. What's your gut reaction, Bryn?
My gut is I'm not bought in on it.
Okay.
I think I would need, and of course this would take a lot of time as well, to find the shape of the start here triangle in the same manner. I would expect those to then be the same type of representation.
I did a bunch of that too, trying to find it a few different ways, like scaling out the triangle on Google Maps and seeing if it lined up with another triangle perfectly, then that would have been a dead ringer. It would be that's for sure, right? Which it didn't. But it's kind of scanned nearby areas, and then more than just a scan, kind of had some theories on how it would scale out. So I did search for that, and I had the same thought that I was hoping I could find another triangle that it matched pretty perfectly with that start here triangle. Because there's got to be reasons that those are those shapes, and you wouldn't just make them normal triangles. Which is why I also like Dr. R Squared's thought too, because again, I think there's a reason that they aren't just normal or universal shapes there.
Right. We'll be talking more about this during Discord Detectives. Ooh. Shall we dive into the mailbag?
Mailbag. We've got mail.
Bryn, why don't you kick us off for mailbag today?
First mailbag is from Digging Buddy, and this is regarding the potential containers that the boxes could be hidden in. Said, over the course of the past year, there's been lots of discussion and theorizing about what measures JCB has taken to protect the treasure boxes from the elements. I believe the reason for this is so when we do go boots on the ground, we'll know what we're actually looking for. It helps a lot to understand the shape and size of it. It seems as though a lion's share of searchers have settled on the idea that the boxes will be protected in a Pelican brand case or something similar. I have a slightly different theory that I'd love some feedback on. The boxes are largely constructed of steel, and all of them are built with a mechanical component as part of a puzzle. If left to the elements, these mechanical components will rust and seize up, making them inoperable. In looking for similar use cases, I realized that there's another community which has similar concerns. Steel items with mechanical components which need to be protected from the elements and possibly left in a remote location for decades. The prepper community, which is emergency preparedness, has a tactic that involves creating caches in the wilderness, and many of them will keep firearms and perishable items or even books in those caches. They'll even bury them to conceal their location. In looking for examples, I found what I feel could only be described as a container, not a box, and it looks different from what I would have expected, more like a pipe or a tubular construction. I've shared a link below and would love your feedback. So I took a screenshot of kind of the general idea of this that we'll pull up on the screen here. And it's like a little, I don't know what I'd call this.
Cylinder, kind of like a mini trash can. I don't have a great sense of the scale of this, but I know at least the part 2 boxes are pretty small. This seems like a really good solution.
Yeah, I should have included another picture. It showed like guns and stuff in it, which I guess I was like, I don't know if we showed like a bunch of guns, but yeah, like it looks like it would probably be a snug-ish fit for what I kind of expect for the smaller boxes. I will say in the images that I was looking at with some stuff in it, it looks like you screw the lid into the bottom, into the base. So that was maybe a red flag for me, because would we be expected to then like carry this out with us without knowing if that's actually the box inside?
I see. So
Unless we happen to
when
have
you
a
say
screwdriver with you.
screw
A
it in,
screwdriver.
you mean literal screws, not like threading on the cap to the body of it.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it looked like there's actual screws. Like you can kind of see the little holes along the rim of the open part. So I don't know. Like if you saw this out in nature, I guess if maybe you thought you were in the right spot, you could think this was something.
Yeah, I'd be afraid it's like a toilet. I'd be too scared to open it.
It's either the Pokemon box or a bunch of poo.
Okay, well, this is a
So it
new,
looks like-
fresh idea. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Cody.
it was I liked having a fresh idea on this topic.
Yeah, I really like the idea of thinking about it, kind of following the thought progression of what would a prepper do, and finding someone who like has already tackled this issue more publicly than JCB has, kind of trying to accomplish the same thing. So I really like that idea. I think where we got to in the end is not really that different than what we had been talking about. I mean, it's a plastic case, which is very similar to a Pelican case. It looks like it shows some sort of interior liner in there, which we had kind of talked about, maybe like vacuum sealing. And then it looks like there's also some little packet at the bottom, which I think Blake had talked about when we talked about this previously, of like those things you find in all sorts of products. They're just kind of trying to keep moisture out.
Yeah, the desiccant packs.
Yeah, I'm guessing that is what's shown in that picture. But so I would say more than anything, it seems to line up with kind of some of our expectations or theories that we've already had.
Yeah, this is great. I mean, in the interview, I want to say it was maybe with Treasure Hunt with us, they talked about the container a bit more, right? And JCB answered, said, you know, if you do a little bit of research, you could probably figure it out. And I guess in my mind, the fact that this style of container is quote unquote proven for food preservation maybe actually gives it a bit more credence than Pelican case. I have not done too much research in Pelican case usage, but I don't know of examples of people using those for caches in the wilderness necessarily. And if this is a tried and true method, this could be something JCB is referring to in terms of a proven method to keep things safe and dry. You know, there was discussion in the autism interview as well about the cases, and the interviewer's concern was like the paper products, the Michael Jordan card, for example. And JCB reiterated that he's taken into account temperature as well. So yeah, maybe having that second layer of protection, as you said, Cody, some sort of vacuum seal. I don't necessarily see a mechanism for that on that container that you just showed, Bryn, but maybe we're getting some different ideas, which is good, especially for boots on the ground. Not if you're so focused on some sort of rectangular thing, you could potentially overlook something circular, although I doubt it. If it's a plastic container, it's a plastic container. But anyway, I think there's a great idea.
Yeah, good to get fresh eyes on something.
Right. I'll do a quickie here from Floydian Slip. I don't have the email. I apologize. Pulled up here. Ill-prepared today. But they pointed out a new point of interest on the smoky quartz. Let me pull up a picture. Remember, we had been talking about the smoky quartz with the idea that maybe why it's so zoomed in the book, trying to match it to the pattern of the Hopi calendar, with matching the Hopi calendar pattern with the cut on the smoky quartz here. But Floydian Slip wanted to point out there's actually another little flaw on this, and whether or not, kind of debating whether or not it's a Photoshop or just a flaw, or maybe a maker's watermark. But if you actually zoom in right here, you can see there is some sort of little marking or flaw on the smoky quartz, kind of in the, I'd say 3:30 position. You zoom in look at the light portion of the smoky quartz, there's this little circle. So is that of interest to you guys?
Do we have the page number off the bat?
I don't. I can probably find it fairly quickly, but sorry, I don't.
That's okay. My initial gut is like it's probably just some sort of imperfection on it.
Yes.
On the physical item is I think my
171.
initial take. Thank you.
Page 171. Yeah, I think that's my reaction too. I think it might just be a flaw in the stone. Using the digital image to try to zoom in, I still can't necessarily see any pattern out of this other than it's kind of a circular flaw. So I don't think it's a clue in of itself unless it's referencing a position going back to the Hopi calendar. Maybe there's something of interest at that position in the Hopi calendar. But yeah, if we're playing what's more likely, I think it's just a flaw in the stone.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think also I would say either way, it's something that's good to have kind of in the back of our minds to come back to if something were to come out of like you said, the Hopi calendar or something. But it's definitely not something that's detailed enough to act as like a jumping off point.
Right.
It would definitely have to be something that like becomes obvious later on. But anything we can have like that in the back of our minds just to be aware of is good to have.
Yeah, just a reminder, we had also questioned why this image is so big, right, in scale compared to a lot of the other images of the gemstones or jewelry. And so maybe it had to be giant so you could actually see this little flaw. I don't know. That's highly speculative.
You know what I can't unsee now though is the two like light trapezoids at the top of this around 12 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so stuck on the lighting now. Like, doesn't that no, down. That
Right here.
I'm sure it's just the lighting. Those two like almost white. Zoom out a little bit.
Okay, sorry.
Those right there.
Yeah, as you know.
No. The two big white trapezoids. Trapezoid's not the right shape.
No, it's a trapezoid. Very good.
Doesn't that just look like so bright, so white or something?
Yeah, I mean those would align very nicely with the
same kind of same wedges calendar. As March and April.
No, it's like the same angle as the Katsina and non-Katsina season.
All right, Bryn, you have to make a little alignment for us again.
People are gonna scream hearing me talk about lighting one more time. So I'm not gonna get into it.
We are the official lighting podcast of There's Treasure Inside, as you've seen in our past episodes.
So that's all I'd like to say about that, but I can't unsee it right now.
Okay, very good. Very good. All right, next one, Bryn.
Okay, we got an email from Alex, and this is a general idea about he was referring to the shape of the butterfly wings because we had talked about how they weren't symmetrical on either side. And Alex had the wonderful idea of in his solve how he was matching up those perimeter lines to topographic contour lines. So like if you were looking at a map from the bird's eye view, can you match those lines of the butterfly to some of those topographic lines that you would see in a map? So I thought that was a really cool idea.
Yeah, so that came out of I think Matthew Hobbies had talked about the butterfly a bit more, finding the right half of that butterfly pattern matching some stamp patterns on the picture of the explorers, the AI generated picture of the explorers in the Shivor Emerald Mine chapter. But yeah, those two butterfly wings are definitely asymmetric. That's an interesting approach. Very good.
All right, I have one more.
Okay.
And it's about the Art Smith brooch lighting.
Yeah.
And then, okay, I'm just going to read it. So Matthew Hobbies, Blake had summoned him last week to do a little analysis on this as well. So
excellent.
Said, I was summoned by Mr. Blake to look into this. Ultimately, I believe it is a lighting element. Initially, I thought the sphere was a circular light on a white table. Thus, that round moon is seen as well as the table straight lines. That would then leave a shadow on the stand portion of it to make that the mountain moon type image. I don't fully know JCB's Photoshop skills, but from what I've noticed within the AI/added elements, adding a clue to the circular reflection seems highly difficult, unless he initially set up the lighting, but also seems unlikely. And then he said, I found a video on lighting boxes and feel like this is most likely a lighting tent, which could account for the different shapes seen, although hard to distinguish what is in it. The above table theory, I think, fails as the angle would likely be showing what is above the spheres versus below it, but left an image below just to show that thought. Other image, I believe, oh, then he includes another image we can pull up here, is the same brooch, and so the reflectives seem to match outside of the camera/lighting is different.
Yes. Yes, this is why Matthew Hobbies is my friend, because he agrees with the lighting tents. So yeah, we have the image here. It looks like he did find another image of it that is different, but the same brooch based on the wear pattern, certainly. So I don't know where he found that second image. That's great.
Yep. So maybe this is the end of our brooch lighting conversation.
Saga.
I would like to plant my flag on the side of I think it is photoshopped. I'm going to stand by that. And I can see everyone's arguments for the lighting tent, and otherwise my gut's just going with there's something fishy about this.
Do you know that there's another picture of the Art Brooch Smith in the book?
Oh, is there?
Yes.
With all the treasure?
Yeah. I have pulled it out for you, so let's look.
Yeah, let's see it.
Let's see if I can figure out where I put it. Here we go. So in the introduction chapter, there is a picture of the Art Smith brooch there as well. I'll let you examine it for a little bit and see if you come to any new conclusions.
Yeah, this makes me a little less confident. I mean, the big what I'm calling the moon is there, of course. There is a lighting source, but it was what you guys are calling the lighting tent, the very like angular hard line of that, I think is what. Okay. Moving on.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it looks like this is almost taken in the same setup where they have those kind of black shields around the outside of treasure. You can see the roof. This one's a little bit different in that I think you're seeing a bit more of the white base or the floor that they're taking the picture from. But I think that same tent is kind of around it in this picture too, just from a different angle.
I agree. Okay.
Art Smith brooch clue minimized.
That's good. We'll put that one on the back burner.
All right. Very good. I guess I had one super quick one that I wanted to mention. It actually came up last week. This was an email from Rachel. Rachel said, I've been involved in the hunt since it came out and still enjoyed the 2-hour State of the Hunt episode you just put out. Excellent.
Nice.
I've been thinking about the coins and trying to make sense of something out of them. In that, I noticed something that I haven't really heard get pointed out or talked about on all except for the Pokemon coin. The circle is located at the angle in the line. With the Pokemon coin, the circle is at the other end of the line. I haven't come up with any ideas for why, but I thought I'd just point that out. So yeah, I don't think that gets pointed out enough. I know we've mentioned it once historically, and then I mentioned it last episode too, but it was based on this email that I brought it up, but didn't attribute that concept back to Rachel here. So I wanted to shout out that concept that the Pokemon coin is unique in that the circle on the coin is not at the intersection of the two coin lines. So everybody keep that in mind. That definitely came into play for the pyramid design that we talked about, but it's an interesting fact for sure. As promised, very quick, because I know we've talked about it briefly before. All right, ready for some Discord detectives? All right, let's start with the Appalachian Trail triangles. I have slight memory that maybe I've shown this before, but I can't be sure. So I'm curious if you guys have seen this image before. This is from Shane. He said, alternatively, if you like this type of solution, if you look at the butterfly to represent Mount Katahdin in Maine, which is the start or end of the Appalachian Trail, and the dog as the Springer Mountain, Georgia, connect a line and intersect the begin here triangle tip to it. This hits right about Bear Mountain, New York. So let me find that image. I really like this because of the simplicity, but I think it's very smart. If you were to draw a line from the Springer Mountain or the Springer Terrier to the butterfly that represents the end of the Appalachian Trail in Maine, and you took the geometry of the triangle, and right where the triangle is pointing is where you should begin on the Appalachian Trail. What do you guys think of that?
That's right.
Have you seen that before? I can't remember if I've shown it.
I don't think we've seen it. I remember the concept. The sounds vaguely familiar. And I do like it. I like this a lot.
Do you have a feeling about this?
I quite like it.
Yeah, me too.
I quite like it. I feel like it explains a lot. I mean, it's like a very valid explanation of the butterfly, the dog, the begin here, the triangle under the begin here. My only concern is I'd be interested in knowing how they came up with the center points for each of those two drawings. I mean, the butterfly seems a little bit more self-explanatory. The dog, I feel like, could move around slightly.
Yeah.
If it was like, I don't know, like half a centimeter more east on the dog, how much does that change kind of that starting location? My guess would be not a ton, but I don't know if you're talking the whole Appalachian Trail just between those two drawings, slightly changing where you're calling the center point of those drawings could change then that intersection point quite significantly.
Right.
So I really, really like this idea quite a lot, but I'm concerned about that.
What I would take it as is like you're supposed to get the intersection point maybe on one of those dots or smudges, whatever you want to call that. So like that would fall regardless of kind of if you put the point generally in the center. I think pretty much no matter what, you're going to get somewhat close to that smudgy dot. So say that's like your starting point, and then what in relation to that can you get 5 other, like make it make sense in that location, right? Figure out what those represent. Would be probably my approach if I were to be doing this.
Yeah.
Okay,
right.
so you think each of those 6 smudges is a geographic feature, and it's pointing you towards the easternmost of those smudges.
Yeah.
Which should be about halfway between the northern terminus and southern terminus of the trail based on the butterfly and the dog.
Well, I think you'd want to measure that out and get the exact proportion. I would not say this is about halfway. I think it's definitely closer to Maine.
Yeah. Sorry. When I said halfway in that sense, I meant very, very roughly.
Okay.
Like it should not be 25 miles from the northern terminus or something.
No. Yeah.
Like it should line up to where yes. We're saying the same thing. I just did not say it well.
Okay. So let's say this is all true. This is all correct. Would this be still too big of an area to consider one of Jon Collins-Black's quote unquote solutions for the Appalachian Trail box? Because he was
because I think it's very
well. Let me finish.
Okay. Sorry.
He was pretty specific in the response for the Mysterious Writings email that one of them would get you very close, one would get you to an area, and one would get you to a general area. You would consider this too big of a general area because it's not specific enough. Is that correct?
I would, for sure.
I think so. I'm not as confident as I was when I rudely interrupted you.
Well, no, because like if this, you can't consider this a solve in itself. I don't think. I mean, I think you still need to take everything else into consideration to get to a more specific area.
I don't know. I would suggest that maybe your smudge idea, which I hadn't considered, if these are 6 parks, I would say if you're correct and it's this one smudge, that maybe is enough to be considered a solve that you have the right park.
So then you would think there's another solve method where the begin here triangle acts in a different way, or that like this is specific to the solve and begin here could just then be representative of another solve.
Yes, that's
method.
The temporal solve would be the begin here.
Yeah, so my initial gut feeling was that would not be one of like the complete solve of one of the 3 solves, because I think it's probably because of some bias that I have where I expect the map to cover quite a large area as you're like working through it, and maybe I shouldn't, at least for one of the solves. So I'm like, yeah, he's telling us, even if this is correct and he's telling us to begin here, in my mind we're going to end up, once we solve all the clues, many miles away.
Yeah,
but
that's fair.
Maybe that's not the case. Maybe one of the solves, the begin here, is pointing you towards literally like boots on the ground begin here, it's within 3 miles. So in that case, maybe it is one of the ones he's referencing. So I do need to step back a little bit, but I would still lean towards that is not a complete one of the 3 solves. Maybe a partial one of the 3 solves.
Yeah, I just really like the elegance of that, because you're using the dog, you're using the butterfly as the start and end of the Appalachian Trail. With the current placement of those objects in the map, it's hard to do anything else simply with that information besides kind of that geometric approach, which is why I liked it so much.
I think that elegant is the right word. Yeah. What are your thoughts on my comments on finding the actual center points on those icons, and then Bryn's comments about the 6 smudges?
I liked the 6 smudges idea. I didn't consider that at all until Bryn brought that up. In terms of your idea of how you would actually align center points there, I think that's a valid criticism, because that dog is relatively big. Would you center it on the heart of the dog? Would you center it on the head? I don't know. That's poking a bit of a hole into it for sure. If it's just part of a solve, then it's a little more tolerable that you don't have to be exact. It's really just saying about 2/3 of the way up the Appalachian Trail, start here. Like,
yeah,
then it doesn't matter as much, I suppose. But I think it's a valid concern. All right. Anyway, I thought that was very excellent by Shane.
Yeah, that one's really good.
Next one is from Real Life Goonie. Talking about the Pokemon box. Froakie.
Yes.
Froakie image. Froakie is holding up 32 with his hands and 23 with his feet. Numbers that mirror each other. Numbers that mirror each other like this are called palindromes. The same thing can be done with words or phrases. It's called Semordlinap pairs, which is palindromes backwards. Semolonor nap pairs. You can read a phrase forward for one meaning and then read the same phrase backward for a new hidden meaning. Example, able was I would also be I saw Elba. Or live on time would be emit no evil if it were to be spelled backwards. Maybe JCB mentioned Alice through the looking glass because he wanted us to find hidden clues mirrored in phrases. I'll admit this is pretty unlikely with how difficult it would be to create one of these phrases, just throwing out some new ways of thinking. Bryn, how do you like this idea?
So first, looking at the Froki, I will say I have a hard time with the feet being 2 and 3.
Okay.
I definitely see the argument for it. I think that's almost a little too nuanced or something. Yeah, I think that's probably just some AI being AI. I will say I've definitely gone down the mirror train of thought. Probably for quite a while. I mean, we did those like the horseshoes and hand grenades a while back, like even with the mirror on the purple photo, and like because of Through the Looking Glass. I will say since then I've taken a step back from like the mirror idea specifically, and we looked through like a lot of wordplay that would have been palindromes, et cetera, et cetera. And I feel more confident that the Through the Looking Glass literally reference itself is more specific to like the idea of portals. So that along with the Chronicles of Narnia, like going through the wardrobe is a greater idea of this portal theme than maybe specifically a mirror. I'm not ruling it out that mirrors would not come into play here, but those are my thoughts.
Okay. Cody, do you like mirrors theme for the Pokemon box chapter?
I don't know.
No comment?
No, Bryn's such the expert on Pokemon box and the household that I defer to her on Pokemon box thoughts. She is. I just feel it doesn't feel right for me to even have a thought about Pokemon box when she's put in so many hundreds of hours of Pokemon box research, and I'm mostly focusing elsewhere. So
that's not the spirit of the podcast.
Speculate with us.
I could see either one, portals or mirrors. That's the other thing is Bryn has got me very convinced of that this is like a wordplay type box. I think she's got a lot of good evidence supporting that. And the problem is it's like, even in, I don't know if you consider, 3 or 4 pages, a lot of text or a relatively small amount of text, but it just feels like there's so much opportunity for wordplay and so many different types of wordplay. And it's honestly so overwhelming for me.
Yes.
I could see mirror or portal, either one being in there.
How about the third option, which I like, which is the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe reference and the Alice's Looking Glass by Lewis Carroll and C.S. Lewis, I believe. I think it's arguing towards like a place called Lewis, for example, Lewis County or something like that, which there are a plethora of. So that's my thinking, but certainly with the other references to pressing their face against glass and
Portland, Maine.
Portland, Maine.
Maine.
I like the portal idea as well. So I'm just throwing a third idea out there. Sorry.
No, I was pretty excited about the Lewis idea early on as well.
Okay.
I will say
sorry.
No.
I'm a big interrupting guy tonight. Go ahead. It's all about me.
My toes hurt from you stepping all over them.
Please, you finish your thought and I'll go.
I was just gonna say the engagement, nobody's engaging with me on Pokemon Box anymore. I am flying solo on Pokemon Box, and I am this close to doing a Pokemon box special and giving it all away, and let's find this thing. I just feel like you guys are not in Pokemon box.
I have 2 solves in the works right now, but you haven't seen them yet. So probably go over those in Horseshoes and hand grenades next week.
I was just going to say, my one concern about Portal as a theme, independent of kind of how bolstered that theory is with the actual text, is I don't think that portals are a huge part of Pokemon in general. So it seems like with so many different like aspects of Pokemon that would be very similar, be very usable in creating kind of clues or themes, it seems strange for him to pick Portal, which seems like just so removed from the Pokemon lore.
I don't think that this chapter necessarily has to be Pokemon related that much.
Really?
Yeah.
It's like a hot take.
He did include the Pheromosa out of nowhere, which travels via wormholes. I mean,
okay.
That I think he's trying pretty hard to tie in Pokemon with portals there.
Okay, yeah, if you've got connections like that, then I'm definitely on board. I was just thinking more general. It's not like part of the card game or really part of video games or anything that I seem to remember.
If you would have stayed up to date with my texts, you'd be very familiar with all my portal connections.
Didn't have a siren on it, so he didn't look.
I need to bring back my major connection alert.
Major connection alert. Pheromosa travels through wormholes.
And I will say, I've also made a lot of, like, if you do want to have a Pokemon theme integrated with it, I have very much tied in the purple photo, I will say, to that idea as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like we are one aha moment away, which is why I'm so hesitant to like spill everything. But it's frustrating.
Spill the
beans. Think about it all the time.
All right. My next Discord Detectives is from Great Value Brand, Bobby Hill. Yes, I agree. Great Value Brand, Bobby Hill. Yes, I agree that there is a lot of correlation between the rubies and Pokemon. Sorry, I don't know the reference there. I also think that the rings are kind of connected with the Pokemon treasure too, because on the treasure box there is a Shippo pattern. So we've talked about Shippo before, and this is a new nugget that I did not know about. Shippo means 7 treasures, which are gold, silver, lapis lazuli, crystal, agate, red coral, and carnelian from Buddhist scriptures. Do we know that? Did you guys know that already? That Shippo literally means 7 treasures.
It rings a bell, like I had heard it at some point.
Okay, I had forgotten.
I couldn't
or
have
not
told you
that
if you asked me.
Okay. All right. I think that will be my last Discord Detectives today, because we have to talk about Chapter 1.
Gosh.
Our Force Fen Pick Nuggets sound effect from many months ago.
It's back. It's back.
All right, so we're going to talk through just kind of our pick nuggets for Chapter 1 after this restart of the reading of the book. Anybody volunteer to go first?
I will go first because I have just, it's kind of to the whole book in general, but just reopening the lion's share and starting with Chapter 1 right off the bat. It's like these page backgrounds. we can't. I just want to.
These are going to talk about new things.
No, I just want to reemphasize. Like, I feel like the page backgrounds haven't been talked about in a while. I just want to throw it out there, and that's all I'm going to say about it.
Okay.
Let's not forget to consider the page backgrounds as we're reading through the content again.
Very good. I appreciate that. All right. I need to find my list.
I can keep going then.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Keep us rolling. So when you look at the Sapphire images at the end of the chapter, I'm trying to get to the page number here. On page 24, where you have the blue sapphire and then the red sapphire under the UV light.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was interesting that these images, they're mirrored. It's a mirror image of the sapphire,
Mm-hmm.
which seems kind of weird. Like if you were going to be showing them side by side, it seems like you would show the same side of it in the two different lighting environments.
Yes, I think it's more of a portal than a mirror image.
Stop.
Okay.
Anyway, I think that's a good find. I mean, there's certainly a couple of prime examples of mirror, and my guess is that Dr. R Squared probably named his blog reflecting on there's treasure inside for a reason. I think we pointed out a few mirror references, particularly in the Chavin de Juntar. There's a big section on mirrors, or at least a paragraph about the mirror images. And I think there's other references that we'll see if we find again through this next read through. But I think that is a very indicative image that it's a mirror image, Bryn. Quite excellent.
Thank you.
I'm focused on the 3.5-year-old son. Again, it kind of matches, it kind of mirrors the Pokemon chapter with I was 5.5 years old. Why does he say that? Why does he care so much about half ages?
Mm-hmm.
How does that relate to metamorphosis of a butterfly? If we're thinking about the butterfly theme, like what's the importance of the half stage in evolution? I don't know. That's kind of what I'm trying to link it to, but see if we come across more half references as we go through as well. Cody.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think it's also kind of interesting that he wrote this book. I guess we don't know how long it took him to actually write the book, of like all the years of prepping for this hunt and releasing the book. But I imagine it took at least, throwing a dart at it, minimum 6 months, maybe a year. So it makes it extra interesting that he's referring to or breaking it down to half years when it's kind of, I don't know. You get what I'm trying to say. It's not like he wrote the book in a week and like is almost 3.5 years old. It's like his son was probably like 3 and then turned 4 all during this time.
Exactly.
And he's saying, "Oh, and I have a 3.5-year-old son." So
yeah,
I also think that adds to why it's strange that he's using the half years. I'll do one. I'll do talking about Apple and its company growth. For the next 4 years, Apple's size doubled every 3 months. I think that is interesting because it immediately made me think of one of Blake's favorite theories. That's the triangular numbers.
Yeah.
Same mathematical way about them, between doubling every 3 months and then the triangular numbers that go up in a similar pattern.
Yeah, I have that note for sure, and the sentence before it as well. The processes for scaling were formed when talking about the Apple company. And so having that word scaling, processes for scaling were formed. Apple's size doubled every 3 months. That give us some sort of indication on how to start coming up with the numbers for your roadmap that you've talked about before, Cody. That it's some sort of parabolic increase or exponential increase. I mean, doubling every 3 months is not the same as the triangular numbers in the basketball chapter, but it at least gives us some sort of scale. I'm just going to steal that word, scaling. So I think there is some merit in there if he's trying to give us a hint as to how to construct this roadmap with distances or lengths, things like that. I think there's something there.
Yeah, I highlighted that as well, just for the idea of like map scaling. So same things that you're saying. All right, is it back to me?
Sure.
I'm going to go with an idea of like, I'm calling it natural growth. Maybe this fits in what we kind of talked about as like botanical. I don't know. I'm saying natural growth because he said his marker moved with a quick flourish. So I think of something flourishing as like coming into itself, growing, and then budding new director named Steven Spielberg. So that definitely felt flowery or plant-like, natural material, growing and evolving.
Bee on a pistol.
A bee on a pistol for sure.
This chapter's just full of all of Blake's favorite things.
Absolutely. A thorn in his side. That's in
Really
this chapter as well.
What was it?
A thorn in his side.
Oh, I missed that. Nice one.
Yeah, so the rose connection there we see in later chapters. That could be referential.
Perfect.
So, but I like your idea of kind of grouping that into a growth theme with the budding term. That's very good. I just have a bunch of notes on maps. Have a roadmap, a good map, knew the importance of a good map, and trying to find the other, let's say, navigational terms or math terms, so scale that we just talked about. I think I had one more in here, but now I'm failing. Sorry. There was a mention of carried forth, with forth being the key term there, as another kind of numerical term that's hidden in there. Don't know how to use it. Then think of these pages as your map. They offer a place to start, directions to follow, and ultimately a destination at which to arrive. As you encounter stories or ideas that you feel you can divine from, write them down, draw them out, and organize them. And I found another mirror reference. I found myself reflecting on my role as a father. Right, Cody.
Yeah, I'll do one that's actually that same section, same thing you just read. I really focused it on the they offer a place to start part. If you'd like to find this Sapphire and the other treasures in this book, then think of these pages as your map. They offer a place to start, directions to follow, and ultimately a destination at which to arrive. Probably focusing in on a place to start because that's really what I want more than anything at this point. And it feels like the directions to follow and the end destination, in my mind, will come together pretty quickly once I figure out the place to start. So definitely focused on, if JCB is telling us that there's a place to start, there should be some distinct, exactly that, a place to start. So I looked into that a little bit. I wanted to call out this one Discord message from Dr. Beat 14 that I found when I was kind of trying to get people's thoughts on maybe a distinct area in the book that was a place to start, like he's kind of promising us in chapter 1. He talks about a different theory about kind of two copies of the same thing showing up in the book lots of times and like matching pairs. But one of those was specifically the word Genesis. And then at the end of his post here, he says, I do believe that the starting clue is the genesis of this project arrived in a flash, which is a quote from the introduction. And he says Genesis only occurs twice in the book, part of his other theory he's working on. And that he says, where would a Baptist preacher's kid start with Genesis? So maybe some logic there. And then that's that same excerpt that arrived in a flash, like a cowboy riding a lightning bolt, which we had picked out during our introduction episode. I think all three of us had noted that was some very genreism type language.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be looking into that a little bit more, maybe trying to see if there's something that makes sense as that being a place to start.
Yeah, I was thinking about the starting point more as a couple of geographical locations that are mentioned in the chapter. Menlo Park, California, a fruit orchard in Oregon, Probably not. That seems less specific. And then there is, let's see, the Bowers Museum, Los Angeles is also called out in the chapter, but kind of between all the places that are mentioned, it's like Los Angeles or Menlo Park, kind of in the San Francisco area. So those would be kind of my votes.
His son was drawing, he said his son was drawing a map of, it was Los Angeles. I already had a map of Los Angeles out.
Yes.
So it definitely feels like, if I had to get, like, California feels like the starting point.
Would be my vote if it were a what's more likely question.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
But I
so you guys are thinking.
Yeah, I do like the idea of the Genesis thought and going even into the introduction, but that doesn't necessarily specify a geographical location.
No, but I'm also not convinced that the roadmap's not something slightly more metaphorical, where it doesn't really need to be a geographical location. I think I could go either way. So
okay, we'll need more evidence for that theory. I'll be very interested to see what you come up with.
Yeah, I got a lot of thoughts. A lot of thoughts.
I would like to take a whole category here, if I may.
Sure.
I originally started with just the color blue, but then I included that to be a greater bucket of blue/color.
Okay.
So here's what I picked up on. His blue eyes beamed at me like lasers.
Classic.
The blue box. The blue box invention. The blueprint. The pink highlighter. Apple II was delayed by a simple color choice. Mike Scott particularly loved gems with brightly saturated colors. Scottyite is a dazzling cobalt blue.
Yeah, I picked out that pink highlighter as being interesting again. Or not again, but for the first time reading through this. Why that detail? Why a pink highlighter? It will be added to my color analysis.
Yeah, I had picked out blue, and it felt like he really went out of his way to emphasize blue things. But then, yeah, it's like if you're trying to emphasize blue in the chapter, why randomly insert pink highlighter that could just have easily been a blue highlighter or an unspecified color and just had a highlighter? So that kind of very much goes against any, like, he's specifically trying to get blue out of this chapter theory.
Right.
I mean, like, isn't like highlighters with UV light, right? Like a black light. Is there something to that? Like, I wonder if he's trying to emphasize something there. Who knows what? But
I don't know about that. Yeah, good question.
is a UV light a black light? Is that the same thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Me?
Blake?
Me? I want to talk about the computer club, the Homebrew Computer Club. In 1975, a meetup of computer hobbyists gathered for the first time in a garage in Menlo Park, California. The group coined themselves the Homebrew Computer Club.
Point?
Yeah, coined. Is that a hint towards the coins? And that they're actually a lion share clue?
I like it.
So I'd be curious if there's other instances of coins in the in shared chapters. That
we'll
definitely
keep an eye out.
Stuck out to me for the first time this read through. Could have just said they called themselves
Cody. Yeah.
I think you're muted.
You're
Cody?
muted.
Sorry about that. I'm back.
Yes.
I picked out two things that I think could potentially go together. And it's both from the first two paragraphs of chapter 1, so right at the beginning of the book.
Okay.
Something we've talked about a million times is his bright blue eyes beamed at me like lasers. Then I thought the word choice later on in that page was interesting, where it says, my son's interest in discovering treasure is undeniably his own, an infatuation seemingly inscribed into his DNA. So I thought that lasers and inscribed seemed a very, very interesting word choice.
Interesting.
And to have that so close to talking about his son's eyes, like lasers and inscribed in his DNA, lasers, inscription. And then, of course, I'm not sure all that much about engraving, but on the left-hand side of this, same page, when you open it, is the big inscription into the glass pedestal for the sapphire. I'm not sure if that would be a laser inscription or just scraped in with like a little diamond or whatever they use to engrave, but definitely got me looking at laser and inscription and inscribed a little bit more. I did a little other research and looked at like they'll have laser inscriptions on diamonds, give them like very microscopic not really serial numbers, but identifying numbers, identifying stuff. So I don't know, something I've been thinking about. Inscribed seem weird is my big takeaway.
Yeah, that's a great
choice.
That's a great catch. I like
agree.
that. I like that.
I would like to represent hand theme. Led me hand in hand. Yes. 2 for 1 right there.
Exactly. Right at the first paragraph.
There's more.
Oh.
A handful of people living around San Francisco had an inkling.
Oh.
Yeah, so inkling was weird as well, but I'm going to highlight a handful of people here. But I thought, like, right off the bat, the hand in hand. I'm going to just keep tabs on my hand theme again as we read through and see if it transpires in anything.
Okay, very good. 2 references to either piloting or captaining. First successful product pilot, when he's talking about the first orders of computers that Steve Jobs made and Steve Wozniak sold. And then Mike Scott captained Apple. So there's kind of 2 references to either some sort of ship, airplane, or spaceship, if we ever want to go down the Star Trek route. Pilot and the captained were 2 words that caught my eye.
Yeah, because then later on he talks about how Mike Scott built a rocket ship, right? Like he was part of a rocket ship. Yeah.
Scott designed and built rocket ships. Then he worked to develop a Star Trek-like tricorder that would identify solid material with a simple scan.
I think we also, since we kind of already did our laser bucket, right? With the laser blue, laser blue. I think we also just need to mention the Star Trek Scotty image.
Sure.
And to me, I loop that in with the laser because of beam me up, Scotty, laser beams. So I think we cannot fail to mention the Star Trek image.
Like that. I didn't even think about beam me up, but beam, laser beams. Yeah, very good. Very good connection. Cody.
Is it me?
Oh, Bryn.
I don't know. I lost track.
That's right. Freestyle.
I have one more. I have 2 more. Let me just rattle both off here, then I can be done.
Sure.
Moon. I'm trying to find this line again because I've read it so many times and it doesn't make sense. But I don't think it made sense in the book. He loved to wax philosophical on numerous topics and he fancied himself an artist. Does that even make sense?
Yeah, I think it does. Wax philosophically is a pretty common is not right, but it's a used term that I'm familiar with. But I like that connection to the moon. I didn't catch that one. Excellent.
Yeah, so waxing, waning. Moon theme.
Love it.
And my last one here was just, I wanted to say, it seemed like there was an emphasis on the father-son dynamic here, which I'd like to keep tabs on moving forward as well, whether that be father-son or generational tie as well.
Good. Cody, what do you got?
I got a few quick reiterations that I don't want to spend a bunch of time on because we've talked about them a lot, and I think it's the point of going back through this is to try and find other unique things we didn't pick up on the first time. But I do want to at least mention the hyphens again, weird hyphens, and then also archaeology. I want to keep an eye out for that a little bit more this time. Because it's kind of one of those things that just is always in the back of my mind, but hasn't quite crossed over the threshold of like, oh, this might be something that's a theme or something he's like perpetually trying to point us towards. So I'm just kind of keeping archaeology a little bit more in my mind because there's a couple of references to it here, or at least one. And I know he references it a bit throughout the book, which is also something that could be have direct pointers to specific geographic areas with like archaeological digs and like big finds.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I like that. Good idea.
Then I've got one more, but I see that someone moved it in my notes, so I don't know if one of you two also wanted to talk about it.
I don't have access to your notes.
Or on the tracker document.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
Maybe I did it by accident. Who knows? So the inside of the dust jacket poem, which I don't have my dust jacket with me right now.
Yeah.
But I will try and recite from memory. Be solid, have grit, sparkle even as you pine. Here lies a joy divine.
Very good. Very good.
It.
That's correct.
I wish that was one of the quiz questions the other day. So obviously there's like 6 or 7 real keywords in that dust jacket poem. 2 of them are grit and divined, and both of those words are in chapter 1, and they're both very unique words. So I thought that was quite a coincidence.
Yeah, I picked up on the grit one. I was curious. So I've lost my Adobe Digital version of the book, so I can no longer text search. But if there's grit elsewhere in the book, I'd be curious. I know divine and iterations of divine are in there multiple times, but the grit one was the one that caught my eye more, Cody.
Yes, let me tell you.
Okay. Both Steves shared enthusiasm and grit, is the quote.
Yes, it's the only grit other than the dust jacket.
Okay. So I like that, and I like the idea of looking for sparkle and pine and some of those other keywords from the quote-unquote haiku as we go through the chapters as well. But yeah, that was a major connection, I felt. When he's talking about computers and computer science and scientists in white coats in the laboratory, how these men talked to each other in hushed tones. Tones being the key word. Just because if we look more into the blue box, like that's what they use to make free long distance phone calls. Like that's a tone based instrument that was letting them put in certain tones to make free long distance calls. Tones could also be a reference to colors. And that's another color that maybe didn't get mentioned in the white lab coats. So white as another color reference.
I like that a lot. The tones. I totally did not pick up on that.
All right. I think that's all I've got, other than the reference to, I know you referenced blueprints, but why would he call it a brilliant business blueprint? BBB. That one's always thrown me off. I don't have a good answer for it.
Yeah, that is weird. Forced.
BBB. All right. That's all I've got. Any last calls for pick nuggets from chapter 1 that you want to bring up?
I'm excited to go through the book again. I've been so in Pokemon box that this is refreshing.
Yes.
And I think with this new perspective, as we go back through, it's surprising how many things are jumping out that didn't before.
Right. And they all can't be right. Seems like too many clues, right?
Yeah.
But we'll end up having to pick and choose, but hopefully that's informed by other things that we're finding in the later chapters.
Sure.
We should also think over the next week here if there's anything that we want to like actively formally track as we reread through the whole book. Because I feel like a handful of times the first time we did it, we're like, oh, I wish we would have kind of kept tabs on either like every quote that references something specific or, how many, just there's different things that if we want to try and keep track of throughout the whole book, we should start now.
Yes.
So,
now's the time.
now's the time.
Correct. Right. I think that's the episode. Thanks everybody for tuning in to the 1-year anniversary covering chapter 1 with your silent party horn.
Yeah.
Bryn,
And
you blow it and I'll make the sound.
all right. Oh.
You were very delayed.
Apologies to anybody that's listening to the audio version or the YouTube version. That might be a little shocking.
Shrill.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We will see you next week.
Searching for clues